Up to 7 minutes, please, Mr Eadie.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I begin by thanking members from across the Chamber who have signed the motion in my name and who have stayed behind for the debate this evening. I'd also like to welcome the staff of Mercy Corps and the Edinburgh University Student Charity Group who have joined us in the gallery. Scotland is literally leading the world in international development through the work of Mercy Corps, whose European headquarters are based here in Edinburgh. As well as celebrating 35 years of one of the leading organisations in this field, the purpose of this debate is to focus attention on Scotland's impact and commitment to international development. Before focusing on the activities of Mercy Corps, I would like to pay tribute to some of the other leading actors in this field in Scotland. SCIAF, the official aid and development charity of the Catholic Church in Scotland, working in 16 countries across Asia, Africa and Latin America. Mary's Meals, who are feeding almost 1 million school children every day. Christian Aid Scotland, who are working globally to eradicate poverty and are one of Scotland's largest voluntary organisations, with 600 volunteer groups based in churches. Oxfam Scotland, who campaign for an end to poverty and to raise awareness of climate justice. As you can see, this sector is rich and varied, and at the helm is NIDOS, the network of development organisations in Scotland, who do fantastic work in promoting collaboration across the sector. Mercy Corps Scotland has a total income of over £45 million. Their Edinburgh office supports country programmes in 34 countries around the world. There are 40 people in their Edinburgh office who are employed as programme officers, international finance officers, compliance managers, as well as fundraisers who cover the broad spectrum of fundraising. Mercy Corps' work covers the range of activity from immediate disaster relief, such as providing urgent water, food and shelter in the Gaza crisis last year, and here it is worth noting that Mercy Corps has the largest humanitarian presence on the ground in Gaza after the United Nations, to immediate recovery, such as their Prevention of Child Soldiers programme in Colombia, or their water and sanitation programme in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which over the next 5 years will bring water to 1.5 million people. And ultimately through to resilience, such as their programme in Georgia, Armenia and Azerbaijan. This programme is creating 2 ecozones to strengthen capacity to withstand climate change. So far, 12 pilot projects have been implemented in innovative sustainable land management to address desertification, overgrazing, deforestation and water management problems. By combining these 3 areas of focus, immediate humanitarian response, rapid economic recovery and long-term resilience and self-reliance, Mercy Corps takes a distinct approach to international development work and creates a vehicle for lasting, sustainable improvement in people's lives. They innovate and use technology wherever possible, such as their programmes in Uganda, Zimbabwe and Indonesia, to improve food security. They are developing a suite of mobile-based products for smallholder farmers to provide them with market information and financial management practices to increase farm productivity. Mercy Corps often begins working in a country during a humanitarian crisis in which their immediate action saves lives and reduces suffering. Then, just as quickly, they extend their efforts to economic empowerment initiatives. In this way, they help communities rapidly recover from the crisis and also create mechanisms to increase their resilience to shocks and setbacks that are likely to recur. Mercy Corps takes a distinct approach to international development work and, simply put, where others see intractable problems, they are looking for opportunities for progress. They know that local people are the best agents of the fastest, most durable economic recovery, and that is why 93% of their staff is local to the countries in which they work. Closer to home, Mercy Corps has worked closely with a range of organisations through the Edinburgh Disasters Response Committee. Mercy Corps and EDRC have been running a Christmas appeal for the past 6 weeks. In previous years, with the generous support of the people of Edinburgh, they raised an incredible £430,000 for Haiti and a further £200,000 for Pakistan. Last year was an unprecedented year for the humanitarian field. The world now has the highest number of people displaced since 1945. The UN declared 4 of the world's humanitarian crises Level 3, the organisation's highest designation. They are Iraq, South Sudan, Syria and the Central African Republic. And these are all countries where Mercy Corps is working on the ground. 2015 is going to be a watershed year. March will see the 4th anniversary of the commencement of the conflict in Syria, and Mercy Corps currently has the largest DFID-funded response programme in Syria. The rise in chronic crises is an area that Mercy Corps is working on as they continue their work on economic development in fragile and conflict-prone states. That is something we all have to pay attention to, as the Ebola crisis in West Africa has shown. Complex emergencies are now impacting on longer-term development. And also this year, the current Millennium Development Goals will come to an end and new ones will be set. It is time to consider what should be the role of Scotland. What can we do as a society to help? The Scottish Government's International Development Fund, and here I pay tribute to international development ministers, past and present, has done great work in pursuit of the Millennium Development Goals. How then will they change to reflect the evolving development priorities? Presiding Officer, we must pay more attention to complex emergencies which impact on development and the role of young people in that, recognising that unemployed and disenfranchised young people are critical to economic development and conflict resolution. I am proud that the Scottish Government, with cross-party support, has provided assistance to humanitarian emergencies over the last decade, fulfilling Scotland's role as a good global citizen. This has included the 2010 monsoon floods in Pakistan, the conflict in Syria, Typhoon Haiyan, last summer's crisis in Gaza, and most recently the struggle against Ebola in West Africa. I believe we need to develop a strategy to better respond to humanitarian crises in a more deliberate and proactive way. Mercy Corps and others have already been discussing how the Scottish Government responds to humanitarian crises, and we should consider how we formalise the process for triggering humanitarian aid and whether we set up a separate humanitarian fund. Scotland's impact on the world is not limited to its international development and aid policies. How Scottish companies operate internationally, the consumer choices people in Scotland make, and a whole range of other government policies, including energy, climate and procurement, all have a major global impact. We also need to mainstream gender equality and women's empowerment to all of our international development programmes and ensure that they are at the heart of development work in the areas of education, health and employment. In conclusion, Presiding Officer, let us congratulate Mercy Corps, whose projects over the last 35 years have improved beyond measure the lives of 229 million people in 115 countries across our planet. Let us pay tribute to all of the staff and volunteers who have made this work possible, and let us wish them well in the work that they do in the years ahead.
Thank you very much.